never want a serious crisis to go to waste. And what I mean by that, it's an opportunity to do things that you think you could not do before.
Never waste a good crisis. And when it comes to the economic crisis, don't waste it.
That are shielding the banks from the pain associated with the policies. And my question is, are you interested in giving these economic central planners more power over our economy, more power over your daily life and your economic activity? And I answer that question, double hockey sticks. No, we cannot have that happening. And so that's why we're here today, because we've seen a lot of mismanagement from the economic central planners. It's just by nature. You cannot do this effectively without there being major costs to pay. And so some want to increase power to these organizations such as the Federal Reserve. And so last year, President Biden issued an executive order to explore the creation of a U.S. central bank digital currency, effectively converting the dollar into a centralized digital currency. And this is different than things like cryptocurrency, Bitcoin. A centralized digital currency is directly controlled and issued by the government to consumers. And it provides the government with a direct view of all consumer activities. And so this is something that is being proposed as somehow being environmentally sustainable, a way to increase access to consumers who lack the means to join a traditional bank. But as we've come to learn, any way they can get into society to exercise their agenda, they will do it. So what the central bank digital currency is all about is surveilling Americans and controlling behavior of Americans. And how do we know? Because we've seen this happen in other parts of the world. Look at no further than China to see the impacts of centralized digital currency. The People's Bank of China uses its central bank to monitor citizen behavior, allowing for the surveillance of spending habits and to cut off access to goods and services.
Joe Biden recently announced that he will require every state, county, city, and town to submit so-called equity plans to impose the left's Marxist housing agenda on your communities. This is not what we need. The Biden power grab will put radical and racist left-wing bureaucrats in charge of micromanaging the housing where you live. And nobody can be happy about that. I talked about it during my last campaign, and people understood it very well. They will use the power of the federal government to abolish zoning for single-family homes, destroy your property values by building giant multi-family apartment complexes in the suburbs, and even next to your house, and force your community to pay for low-income housing developments right next door. The woke left is waging full-scale war on the suburbs, and their Marxist crusade is coming for your neighborhood, your tax dollars, your public safety, and your home. When I get back into the Oval Office, one of my first acts will be to repeal Joe Biden's radical left attack on the suburban lifestyle, just as I blew up Barack Obama's leftist housing monstrosity just a few years ago when I blew it up. The Biden war on the suburbs will be over, and it'll never happen again. That whole mess will never, ever happen again. We pray for our country. Thank you.
No question, there are some serious issues surrounding commercial real estate right now. Why don't you lay it out? I mean, you're looking for the Fed, or for the government to relax some of these rules, but why don't we lay out how we got to this point to begin with?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think let's just start with, after decades of free money, the day of reckoning is coming, as we're seeing with the financial meltdown across the board. There's $1.5 trillion of commercial real estate loans that are coming due in the next 3 years. And these loans were made at periods of time where their interest rates were, near zero. So, to refinance them today, they're going to be at much higher interest rates, much lower values, and now in one of the unprecedented illiquid marketplace, right? So this is a major challenge to go through the process. And so you need to actually take some time to actually restructure these loans and invest new equity. But there's not a lot of liquidity in the market, and there's not a lot of transparency of values. So part of what they're asking for is to encourage lenders to work with the borrowers so we don't have a free fall value.
Welcome to the Crypto Teacher. And you know I come back with that video just to make you think.
Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel.
And guys, we have Desantis on CBDCs. No, we don't want CBDCs. It's a surveillance. But guys, we know this is all the Hegelian dialectic. We know the central bank doesn't want to directly give the people money anyway. Remember, these blockchains that they want to use are definitely going to be private. But when it comes to stable coins, they always can peg the stable coin to the CBDC. Well, will run on a public blockchain. And of course, the money is still programmable. And then plus, they'll be able to tell you what, when, and how to buy, and you have 3 to 6 months to spend it, or poof, it's gone. Remember, guys, when it comes to credit cards, debit cards, they have a record of everything you're buying already. That was the whole purpose, guys. Remember, they move in phases. But now, due to technology, they can take that data in real time and use it against you. You have car insurance, you have health insurance. You stated you don't drink, you don't smoke, but we see this purchase. Now they can program the money where you can no longer make those type of purchases. And we have Trump on Biden's equity plan. And guys, we know these CBDCs and his equity plan is all about the fourth industrial revolution. It's basically gentrification going backwards. And remember, guys, in the fourth industrial revolution, we're going to go through hyper deflation. I know you keep hearing a lot of hyperinflation, but you guys who've been with me from the beginning know I've proved it. I brought you plenty of Ray Kurzweil videos explaining how it's going to work. Now, because the Fed has raised rates, as we can see, it's hitting the housing market, but it's definitely hitting commercial real estate. And talking about restructuring loans 3 to 5 years from now, and then also loans, period, small business loans, restructuring debt is going to be very difficult going forward. So we know the Fed and the big banks are going to pick the winners and losers. And remember, the Crypto Teacher told you.
So I've seen rumors swirl. I have not seen any facts yet, and so I don't know what's going to happen. But I do know this: the Manhattan District Attorney is a Soros-funded prosecutor, and so he, like other Soros-funded prosecutors, they weaponize their office to impose a political agenda on society at the expense of the rule of law and public safety. He has downgraded over 50% of the felonies to misdemeanors. He says he doesn't want to even have jail time for the vast, vast majority of crimes. And what we've seen in Manhattan is we've seen the crime rate go up, and we've seen citizens become less safe. And so you're talking about this situation with, and look, I don't know what goes into paying hush money to a porn star to secure silence over some type of alleged affair. I can't speak to that. But what I can speak to is that if you have a prosecutor who is ignoring crimes happening every single day in his jurisdiction, and he chooses to go back many, many years ago to try to use something about porn star hush money payments, that's an example of pursuing a political agenda and weaponizing the office. And I think that that's fundamentally wrong. I also think it's important to point out when you're talking about these Soros-funded prosecutors, yes, they may do a high-profile politicized prosecution, and that's bad, but the real victims are ordinary New Yorkers, ordinary Americans in all these different jurisdictions, that they get victimized every day because of the reckless political agenda that these Soros DAs bring to their job. They ignore crime and they empower criminals, and that hurts people, hurts a lot of people every single day. These Soros district attorneys are a menace to society, and I'm just glad that I'm the only governor in the country that's actually removed one from office during my tenure.
Desantis is shrewd, ruthless, and ambitious. He is likely to be a Republican candidate.
For our economy, they responded by hiking rates very, very rapidly, very, very quickly. That's done a lot of things to hurt a lot of people, but it has put a lot of pressure on the banking sector in particular. And so we had recently this issue with the Silicon Valley Bank, which was bailed out. I mean, this is a bank that had invested in a lot of long-term bonds that were no longer profitable because the interest rates have gone up. And so the Fed, because this is a bank that is very politically connected with people in Silicon Valley, the Fed and the Treasury Department bailed it out. Now, they try to say it's not a bailout because they say it's going to be paid for by banking fees. But who pays the banking fees? Customers. So you're going to pay more for fees to do banking in order to give the Silicon Valley people a bailout.
Now, guys, we have Desantis on Trump arrest, saying that it's George Soros funded. And we know we had George Soros come out and state that he supports DeSantis instead of Trump. So, guys, that lets you know it's nothing but the Hegelian dialectic. Remember, you're watching a movie. Remember, your life is an illusion and TV is your reality. But we know the central bankers are the master magicians. This is the perfect distraction for them to ride the money in the back door. And remember, the crypto teacher told you, because he knows when it comes to the New World Order, it's all planned out. You have a wonderful day.
Going to a different economy, and we're going to be learning more about that as we go. But clearly, we're learning that things can be done from remote locations. We're learning that technology can replace people even more than we thought.
We're not going back to the same economy. We're recovering, but to a different economy, and it'll be one that is more leveraged to technology. And I worry that that is going to make it even more difficult than it was for many workers.
In Silicon Valley, and my friends who work in technology know that what we did to the manufacturing workers, we are now going to do to the retail workers, the call center workers, the fast food workers, the truck drivers, and then even bookkeepers, accountants, insurance agents, lawyers, and on through the economy. So what happened to the manufacturing workers is a very clear sign.
And so we'll import Chinese-based CBDC technology. So it's going to be CBDC in a box provided to you by the People's Bank of China.
Cryptoteacher and the New World Order book, plus the 3 kids books. It's time to re-educate. Also, new to cryptos, Coinbase, Bitrue, Binance. Do not forget book links and crypto links are in the description. The stock channel, guys. Don't forget to go like, subscribe, spread everywhere. You have your Kobo, your chip stocks, your banking, your gaming. While everybody's sitting at home, get home stocks, the Seaver, the biotech stocks. And while everybody's at home wishing they were still getting that free money, what are they doing? Drinking and smoking weed. Don't forget about those stocks, and you have a wonderful day. The most powerful person in the world is the storyteller. The storyteller sets the vision, values, and agenda of an entire generation to come. Steve Jobs. And guys, you know I truly believe in this. When you look at the New World Order, they're the storytellers. And that's the reason why I wrote my New World Order book. But guys, now it's time to change the current generation. And I wrote 3 kids books. You know I love the Trinity because I understand the power that's in it. So I have 3 books. We have an opportunity to change the generation, to educate. Not just me, but I want to show you that I take action on a daily basis. And I want you to take action on a daily basis. Whether it's your job, whether it's in your community, we have an opportunity right now to educate the masses. I posted this on my Twitter account. Please share, but this is a short clip of the 3 books. There's going to be a clothing line and action figures. Please get these books for your kids, nephews, cousins, friends, so therefore we can start the re-education now. Because as we see, the 4th Industrial Revolution foundation is definitely here. Robots, algorithms, drones, taking humanity out the picture. We have to re-educate. But let's get into the video.
Part 1. King Joshua and Drama Team Save the Village. Part 2. King Joshua and Drama Team Save New York. From COVID Stories 3. Part 3. King Joshua and Drama Team goes to China.
It's mandatory to get part 1, part 2, and part 3 of this series. It's time to re-educate Generation Z.